Hosted by you/pretty_yayflow. I, 23F, have been with my fiancé, 26M, for 3 years. We met while I was on holiday, and a few weeks later, he followed me on Instagram, and the rest is history. We got engaged last year, and a month later, I found out I was pregnant. We now have a beautiful 6-month-old. We hosted Thanksgiving this year, and my fiancé was drinking quite heavily. After dinner, my mom and I were talking about the wedding, which my parents are paying for, and I overheard my fiancé tell my brother, who was just as drunk as him, that he needed to tie me down and get me pregnant before I realized what a prick he was. They laughed it off, but it rubbed me the wrong way because our baby was not planned. I wasn't ready for a child, and we were using condoms, but after a few instances where the condom broke, I decided it would be safer to get on birth control. The first month I was on birth control, I got pregnant. We had been warned that could happen, and he said he would pull out to be safe, but I still got pregnant. I was scared as hell, but I personally didn't want to get a termination. I 100% believe in the right to choose, but I just didn't want one for myself, so I decided to keep the baby. I work for my dad's company, and my fiancé works at a country club. Money wasn't necessarily the issue, it's just that I wanted to do more before starting a family. I spoke to my fiancé about what he said, and at first, he claimed he didn't remember saying it, which was believable because of how drunk he was. Then he said it was just a joke and was meant as a compliment because I'm so amazing. So I said, okay, good, because we're getting a prenup. I was joking, but I also wanted to see how he would react. He was pissed. He asked why the F he would sign a prenup when we have a baby together and a house together. He said he would not sign one, that we wouldn't need one because we're never separating, and that me mentioning a prenup was insulting and emasculating. I didn't feel threatened, but he did make me uncomfortable, and he woke our baby up. So I told him to leave, and he did. The day after I kicked him out, he sent me a long, apologetic message about how it was out of character for him to get loud, which is true, as he's never acted like that before. I replied, saying I appreciated the apology but still needed a day or two to think everything through. The next day, he sent a bouquet to the apartment. On Sunday, he sent me a booking confirmation for a massage he'd arranged for me at the club and offered to come over to watch our son and cook dinner. Tonight, he sent me a message saying I'm being a jerk and taking a meaningless joke to heart, and that he's wasting money he could be saving for the wedding on the hotel. Now, things that went over my head before are starting to feel suspicious. But breaking up my family over this doesn't seem right. Am I overthinking this/being a jerk? Commenter. If you have a house together, why is he sending flowers to the apartment? Ops response. We closed on a house, but we're staying at my apartment until the lease is up. Update 1 day later. A lot of people were asking for context. When I said I wanted a prenup, at the time, I wasn't being serious. Maybe I was just being a jerk, trying to get a reaction, but based on the 3 years we've been together, I would have never imagined he'd react the way he did. Why did the joke bother me so much? About a year ago, he lost his job. He was never really clear why. For the next 3 to 4 months, he didn't really do much. He said he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do next, and that was the first time he brought up having kids, indicating that he was ready. We had a candid conversation on my part about how I wanted kids, just not anytime soon. I enjoy my job, I had trips planned, and I wanted to be married first. He agreed with me that we should wait 3 to 4 years. My dad's company got a contract at the club, which is how he got his job there. But during the time he was out of work, my girlfriends would joke that he was a stay-at-home boyfriend and that I was the provider and he'd be a stay-at-home dad because I was paying the bills and rent by myself. At the time, it didn't bother me. I used to live there by myself before we got together, so it wasn't a big deal, but I guess it was their comments that first made me question things. To be honest, I don't know how long the condoms were breaking. A lot of people are saying they've never had them break, and I can't say I remember it ever happening before. I noticed the first time that it looked like it had split, and then I checked the next time, and that one was also broken. That's when I decided to get an IUD, which he didn't want me to get, but I stood my ground. We compromised, and I got on the pill instead. I know we should have continued using condoms, but he said he'd run out and that since I was on the pill, we didn't need them. In hindsight, yes, I should have insisted we still use them, but I chose not to have that battle. I thought we'd be okay. He knew my opinion on termination and that I wouldn't get one. If I got pregnant, I would raise the baby unless it was for a medical reason. Money-wise, my family is successful. I work for my dad's company, and I have 2 trust funds, one of which I got at 18. Before I fell pregnant, I was making plans to start my own house flipping business, but I decided to put that on hold. I still work from home on flexible hours, but he said that once we're married, he wants me to stop working so I can focus on our kids, and that he'll support us. I've never really liked that idea, mainly because, Although I've never had to worry about money, my parents always taught us the importance of financial stability, and my mom has always said to never be financially dependent on anyone. Plus, with my fiancé's current salary, I'm not sure it would cover all of our expenses. The only reason I haven't told my dad is because they have a good relationship, and I don't want to blow everything up over an overreaction on my part. Second update 2 days later. I, 23F, made a post last week about a joke my fiancé, 26M, made at Thanksgiving while drunk. For those who haven't seen my previous post, he joked that he got me pregnant to tie me down, and I didn't know what to make of it. So, I posted here to get outside opinions. I initially didn't want to talk to my friends or family about it because they're all quite close to him, and I didn't want to make a mountain out of a molehill and cause rifts in their relationships. Yesterday, we had a conversation about where I was at, but he said he couldn't go back to the hotel because they kicked him out for smoking in the room. He had stopped smoking while I was pregnant, but he said I was stressing him out, so he had to stay at the apartment. While I was on the phone with one of my friends in the bedroom, he came in, took the phone from me, and told me to come and eat. While we were eating, he said he understood what I had said and acknowledged that things needed to change for us to move forward. However, he then proceeded to list all the things I needed to do to make things better. His tone throughout the conversation made me feel uneasy. I texted my dad, saying that my fiancé was making me uncomfortable when he wasn't looking. Later, I went to check on the baby, and when I came back, I saw him take my keys out of my purse but didn't say anything. He seemed to take my silence as agreement to everything he said and went to bed, instead of sleeping on the couch as we had agreed, acting like everything was normal. I stayed in the living room, and my dad, bless him, drove 6 hours to come and get us. He arrived at the apartment around 5 a.m. while my fiancé was still asleep, and we left. My son and I are now at my parents' house. My fiancé has been blowing up my phone since this morning. I sent him a text as we were driving off, saying that he wasn't respecting the fact that I needed space and time to figure everything out. I told him he could stay in the apartment, and I would stay at my parents' house. We haven't officially broken up or called off the wedding yet. My parents, who paid for the wedding, have said they don't care if I want to cancel it, but I feel bad. I just want to say thank you to everyone who replied to my original post and sent me private messages. I didn't think people would care about me. I feel like every option I have is bad. The thought of being a single mom is scary. If my fiancé's behavior gets worse, that would be awful. If we cancel the wedding and cost my parents thousands of dollars, I'll feel guilty. And if we break up altogether, we just bought a house together, we're both on the mortgage and have joint accounts. I've been with him since I was 19, and the thought of being without him for good is also scary. Comment update 1 day later. Hey up, if you feel guilty about your parents paying for stuff, cancel what you can and have a good riddance party with your friends and family for what you can't cancel. Ops response. My mom's been canceling things since this morning. The wedding's off,